You're welcome to Libere Tech. Today we want to talk about installation of house industrial cables or wiring of your building. Now, if you know you're a laborer, you're an electrician, popularly known, come close. Okay, now, there are sizes of cable we use in wiring a building. Now we have 1 mm, we have 1.5 mm, we have 2.5 mm, we have 4 mm, we have 6 mm, and we have 10 mm, and so on and so forth. But these few that I've mentioned, at least, are the cables required to install electrical fittings in your house. Now, many people get it wrong when they say they want to wire. Somebody will say use a bigger cable like 1.5 for lighting. No, there is nothing. I will give you an example. In our sockets, electrical sockets, like this, you can see this extension now. You can see the extension. It's being plugged with different devices. And if you check the strand of the cable, it's not even up to 1.5 mm cable. That is the cable that extends it to the socket. It's not up to 1.5 mm. And so many things have been plugged in this extension, and yet the extension can carry. So when the electrician, as they popularly know them, comes to tell you that you should use 2 or 1.5 mm for lighting, you tell him no. The standard cable to use for a lighting point is 1 mm cable. Then we have different countries and their own. Now in Nigeria we use 50S to 60S, while some other countries they use below that. So when buying a cable too, you must know that. That is why they recommend Nigeria cable, because of it's being built with our temperature. So we say 1 mm is for what? Lighting. Then if you want to do your socket, we have the 13 amp socket. We have different usage. If you are using the 13 amp socket for just iron, television, fridge, and your electrical devices in the kitchen, like the blender and all the rest, 2.5 cable is the right source of cable, the right material to use for that kind of wiring. So the socket called 30 amps, you use what? 2.5 mm. Then when you talked about hot plates, gas cooker and all the rest things, there are gas cooker units, of which majority of these electricians, they are bypassing it. But then there is no need. There is a need, because the gas cooker unit carry more load than the dispenser or than the electrical blender. So when you want to do, if you know you want to use hot plate, gas or whatever boiling ring, you are supposed to install gas cooker unit. It's there in every electrical shop. When you go to the shop, you tell them about gas cooker unit, they will bring it for you. It's there, and the estimated wire, the required wire for that should go with 4 mm cable. Now, after getting all these ones, okay, my AC. Now, AC is 50 amp socket. We all know the difference between 30 amp socket and 50 amp socket. The difference between 30 amps and 50 amp socket, 30 amp socket get lesser load. If you give him a load that is more than that amperage, the socket will burn. The only load the socket can carry is 30 amps. Amps means the current that can pass through that socket. So if you give the 30 amps a load more than that current, maybe we'll say you are using maybe your required consumption load of whatever device you are using, maybe it's up to 16 amps, and you plug it inside that 30 amps, it will burn that socket. So that is why you move on to 15 amps. And 15 amps are the required socket for what? Your AC lines. Remember my previous video, I told you when the resistance is very high, it will not pass the required current and voltage for that device to use. So if you are using a lesser wire that cannot produce up to 15 amps of current, that your AC, for the compressor to peak, it will take time. So we are not discussing about that, but just know that the required size or the cable required for that installation for AC line is what? 4 mm cable. Now you have 4 mm cable, you have 2.5, you have 1 mm. It's very cheap. Why some of these technicians take you from 1.5 up to 6 mm? It's wrong. It will cost you more as the owner of the building. You spend more on materials. Why perhaps is not needed. So now that we have gotten all the cables, now for the building so far, we have what we call the DB, and we have what we call the contact point. The contact point is where you take the light from the pole to the contact, where you can change the different phases. Then from the contact, you take it to the DB, distribution bus. DB means distribution bus, where you can share the load. Now, in that case, you are using 4 mm, you are using 2.5, and you are using 1 mm to wire your house. The next one that you need to power those load is called 10 mm. You are using 10 mm because by the time you calculate all these cables that you have put in place, there will not be more than 10 mm. The current that will be coming out from the 10 mm and the voltage will be enough to power anything in the house. Some people use 4 mm to do the same connection, and you see that your current is very low. That your house is very low. You say, "Oh, my neighbor own is brighter than my own." No, it's the wiring difference. So you know that from the contact to the DB, you must use what? 10 mm. Then from the contact to the pole, where you collect the source, whatever grid that you want to connect to, you are using 16 mm aluminium or 25 mm aluminium, as the case may be. The difference between the 10 mm and the 25 mm aluminium, the other one is aluminium, while this one is copper. The 10 mm that is coming from the contacts to the DB, distribution bus, is pure copper, while the other one that is coming out from the contact to the pole, you use aluminium, because even the pole wires, the industrial cables, you see that they are aluminium cables. So aluminium merge with aluminium very well. But if you use copper to merge with aluminium, it will get some spark, and it will begin to spark. Before you know, you'll be having such current. So having said this, for those people who are the electricians, you now understand the sizes of wire that you use. And those who are planning to build a house, you now understand the sizes of wire you need in that your build project. Thank you, and still subscribe to my channel, Elect&Elect Technology.